Dear Giuseppe, thank you very much for agreeing to join us at this event. I hope that you have a good time there today when we start the conference. So the initial idea we had with this event was to focus on emergent infectious diseases, and of course HIV is not an emergent infectious disease in that regard. But one thing that they may have in common with those diseases has to do with how resilient the virus has been to being eradicated and to come up with a vaccine that produces sterilizing immunity.
Mm-hmm.
What would you identify as the main barrier that is preventing us from finding that vaccine, considering all the investment there is, all the many great minds that are working on that? What do we need?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for the invitation, for having me here today. Now, with regard to your question, I think that today, the major barrier is the fact that we do not know how to stimulate neutralizing antibodies. Most of the effective vaccines which have been developed against infectious diseases, they predominantly work through neutralizing antibodies. The neutralizing antibodies are needed to prevent, the virus or the pathogen to infect, the target cells. And then in HIV, the problem that we have is that some of these broad neutralizing antibodies which have been described in patients, we are not able to stimulate with the vaccine. Then this is the main barrier. Now, why we are not able to stimulate these antibodies? First of all, the major one problem is that we don't have probably sufficiently good vaccines. But the second, I think that there is really a biological barrier, because it is very well known that these broad neutralizing antibodies, they have some biological characteristics of antibodies that are autoreactive. Then these are highly cross-reactive antibodies that they do not only recognize HIV, but they cross-react against other antigens. And then there are, physiologically, there are some regulatory mechanisms which prevent, to generate these antibodies.
I see. So from the point of view of so to your mind, the main barriers are really scientific as opposed to
and biological probably.
Sure. But what about clinical trial design and the stuff downstream? Is that something that this field has mastered? The trials that have been performed, have they got clean answers and have they been the kind of trial that we need to do, or are there improvements that need to happen at that late stage?
Well, I think that the trial from a scientific standpoint, the trial that have been run have been very successful. Okay, they have been run, in the best way we could. There is one problem, I think, in all the clinical trial development is that it takes a long time, too long. Now, if you think that the results from the RV144, the trial, the recent trial, which has shown a modest protective effect in Thailand, the trial have been, the results have been announced in 2009. Now we are in 2013. And then the next trial, as follow-up of these results, will not probably start before 2016. And then, in order to get the answer from the trial, is going to take another 3 years, at least. Then I think that where there is, where we can improve, and where the field has to improve, is in the speed, how we can perform this efficacy trial, because it is not acceptable. Then it takes 7 years between one trial and the others, and then before having the results of the new trial, it's going to take 10 years probably.
Why is such a strong delay? Is it a problem of the regulators? Is it a problem of patient recruitment? Is it a financial problem?
I think no. I think that the regulators, they are not really have no responsibility. I think that the reasons are some scientific development, which may take which is taking longer time. I think that, for example, for the current situation, there was no development for protein-based vaccine. And then the recent study in Thailand showed that a modest effect was possible to achieve combining a vector with protein. Then we did not have protein candidates. And then we have restarted by scratch. And then, there has been a long time to get, some commercial agreement, to develop proteins with some company involved. Then that is where I think that the field needs to be to substantially improve in order to speed up all the process.